They told you vitamins would keep you young, that supplements could protect your heart, that herbal teas, passed down through generations, were safer than any pill. But what if most of it was never true? Every year, Americans spend over $40 billion on supplements, yet the rates of chronic illness keep rising. Behind the shiny labels and wellness slogans hides a shocking reality. Many of these natural remedies have never been proven to work, and some might actually be harming you. In this series, we'll expose the science big industries don't want you to know, from the hidden dangers of fat-soluble vitamins to how one popular antioxidant may increase cancer risk. And yes, we'll explain why some folk remedies, believed harmless, are anything but. What if your daily health routine is quietly making you worse? In the 21st century, health has become a personal project, and the wellness industry knows it. Supermarket shelves overflow with colorful bottles promising everything from stronger bones to sharper memory, better sleep, and even cancer prevention. The labels use words like natural, immune support, and clinically tested, carefully chosen to build trust. Today, over 75% of American adults take some form of dietary supplement. Multivitamins are often taken daily without question. Fish oil, turmeric, echinacea, these are no longer niche products. They've gone mainstream. And yet, few ever stop to ask, what does the science actually say? The rise of supplements began in the mid-20th century, when vitamin discoveries were hailed as miracles. Early research did show that vitamin deficiencies caused deadly diseases, scurvy, rickets, beriberi. This gave vitamins a kind of mythical status, as if more would always be better. But modern science paints a more complicated picture. While some supplements are life-saving in specific cases, others offer no benefit to healthy individuals, and some can quietly cause harm over time. Still, the market keeps growing. Why? In part, it's because supplements are not regulated like drugs. The FDA does not test them for safety or effectiveness before they hit the shelves. And traditional remedies? Many have never been studied at all. What we face today is a health landscape where millions of people make daily decisions based on marketing, folklore, or incomplete science. A system built more on belief than on proof. And that's where the real danger begins. It all began with good intentions and a few remarkable discoveries. In the early 1900s, scientists uncovered a strange truth. Some deadly diseases weren't caused by bacteria or viruses, but by the lack of microscopic compounds later named vitamins. Suddenly, illnesses like scurvy and rickets, long thought to be incurable, could be prevented with simple changes in diet. The idea was revolutionary. Vitamins became a symbol of modern science, a way to cheat death with precision. By the 1930s and 40s, pharmaceutical companies began isolating these compounds, turning them into pills and powders. People no longer needed fresh oranges to fight scurvy. They could just take a tablet. What started as a breakthrough soon became a business. By the 1970s, the supplement industry had exploded, riding a wave of anti-pharmaceutical sentiment and growing interest in natural health. At the same time, folk medicine, once dismissed as superstition, was being rebranded as ancient wisdom. Herbs, roots, and oils entered the mainstream, often with little or no scientific backing. But here's where the problem began. The line between prevention and cure, between belief and evidence, began to blur. As more people lost trust in conventional medicine, they turned to vitamins and herbal supplements not just as support, but as replacements. Today, that shift has become dangerous. In some communities, supplements are seen as safer than vaccines. Cancer patients reject chemotherapy for turmeric and apricot kernels. Parents treat their children's infections with garlic oil. But behind the comforting image of natural healing lies a truth that is rarely acknowledged, one that science is only now beginning to fully uncover. And the consequences may already be here. The numbers are unsettling. A 2022 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association revealed that over 23,000 people in the U.S. end up in the emergency room every year due to dietary supplements. That's not counting the unreported cases, the slow accumulations, the quiet damage done over time. Take vitamin A. It's essential in small amounts, but in high doses, it becomes toxic. Liver failure. birth defects, bone loss. Yet many supplements on store shelves exceed the recommended daily intake by 500% or more. Or consider vitamin E, once hailed as a heart protector. In 2005, a meta-analysis of 19 clinical trials found that high-dose vitamin E was actually linked to increased mortality. It's not just vitamins. St. John's wort, a popular herbal remedy for depression, can dangerously interfere with prescription medications, including blood thinners, birth control, and even cancer treatments. And still, it's widely sold, often with no warnings at all. The illusion of safety comes from the word natural. But arsenic is natural. So is hemlock. What's missing is regulation. The FDA does not require supplement manufacturers to prove their products are safe or effective before they're sold. Testing, if done at all, happens after people get hurt. And labeling? Often vague, misleading, or flat-out wrong. A 2015 investigation by the New York Attorney General's office found that 4 out of 5 herbal supplements sold at major retailers contain none of the labeled ingredient, only cheap fillers like rice powder or houseplants. This isn't science fiction. This is today's reality. People are taking these products daily without knowing what's truly inside. And somewhere in this unregulated sea of pills and promises, something has gone very, very wrong. Here's the part almost no one talks about. The human body doesn't always recognize synthetic vitamins the same way it recognizes those from food. That's right. The vitamin C in your orange is not identical, in biological effect, to the ascorbic acid powder in your supplement. Structurally, they may look the same. But in nature, vitamins exist within complex matrices, surrounded by enzymes, bioflavonoids, and cofactors that help the body absorb and use them properly. Isolated in a pill, much of that synergy is lost. Some researchers believe that this is why large-scale clinical trials of isolated vitamins often fail to show benefits or worse, show harm. For example, beta-carotene was once thought to protect smokers from lung cancer. But when scientists tested it in a massive randomized trial, the result was shocking. Smokers taking beta-carotene had a significantly higher risk of developing lung cancer. The mechanism? In isolation, beta-carotene may act as a pro-oxidant, actually promoting the kind of cellular damage it was meant to prevent. And yet, it's still sold today, promoted for eye health and immune support. This disconnect between marketing and biology is more than just misleading, it's dangerous. Because what appears healthy on a label might behave completely differently inside the human body. Scientists call this the reductionist fallacy, the idea that you can take one nutrient out of its natural context, turn it into a product, and expect the same results. But the body is not a machine. It's a living system full of feedback loops, signals, delicate balances. And when we try to outsmart evolution with simplified solutions, the consequences can be irreversible. In recent years, a wave of advanced research has begun peeling back the illusion. Thanks to metabolomics, systems biology, and AI-driven data analysis, scientists are now able to track what happens to supplements inside the body with unprecedented precision. What they're finding is deeply unsettling. Many popular compounds, including those labeled clinically tested, behave unpredictably once metabolized. Some are rendered inactive. Others transform into toxic metabolites in certain genetic populations. This is where nutrigenomics comes in, the science of how our genes interact with nutrients. A supplement that benefits one person may harm another. For example, folic acid, widely recommended for pregnant women, can be dangerous for those with an MTHFR gene mutation, leading to accumulation and potential neurological harm. And yet, most supplements make no distinction. Meanwhile, researchers using CRISPR technology are beginning to map nutrient pathways in ways we've never seen before, revealing feedback loops, nutrient antagonism, and dependencies we didn't know existed. Some compounds sold as antioxidants, like N-acetylcysteine or resveratrol, have shown in lab conditions to interfere with normal immune signaling, potentially weakening the body's natural response to disease. These aren't fringe theories. This is peer-reviewed science, often ignored by the very industry profiting from uncertainty. And while evidence builds, regulation lacks. Most consumers remain unaware that their daily health boosters are part of a global biochemical experiment without controls. What science is telling us today is clear: nutrition is not one size fits all. And treating complex biological systems with isolated chemicals is far riskier than we've been led to believe. Some believe supplements are the future of personalized health, the key to preventing disease without relying on pharmaceutical giants. Others see them as the soft underbelly of modern pseudoscience, preying on fear, hope, and distrust. Both sides claim the mantle of truth, and both are partially right. That's what makes this so dangerous. On one hand, research into micronutrients, adaptogens, and plant compounds holds real promise. Scientists are exploring how curcumin might target inflammation pathways, or how lion's mane mushrooms could stimulate nerve regeneration. These are not empty ideas, but they are early stage. On the other hand, companies use these glimpses of possibility to sell certainty. A molecule that showed promise in mice becomes a miracle in marketing, long before human trials are complete. The lines blur, and in that blur, people make choices. They stop their medications. They overdose on fat-soluble vitamins. They ignore symptoms until it's too late. But what if, just what if, this wasn't an accident? Some researchers have raised the alarm about wellness capitalism, a system where health becomes a product and uncertainty becomes a business model. The less people know, the more they buy. The less they trust doctors, the more they turn to influencers. Algorithms feed this cycle, pushing videos, testimonials, miracle stories, not peer-reviewed studies. And for every voice of reason, 1,000 louder voices shout over it. This is the moment where science collides with belief, where facts battle emotion, and where the cost of being wrong is irreversible. Because while some seek truth, others sell hope. And sometimes, hope is the most dangerous drug of all. And then, the tipping point came. It wasn't dramatic. No explosion, no breaking news. Just a quiet rise in liver failures, autoimmune disorders, unexplained neurological syndromes. A sudden spike in toxicology reports showing megadoses of fat-soluble vitamins in otherwise healthy adults. The wellness industry didn't collapse, it expanded. As conventional medicine struggled to keep up, millions continued self-dosing with confidence, trusting the influencers, the brands, the glowing labels. But behind the scenes, researchers began to notice something chilling. In some populations, the body was adapting, or rather, mutating. Gut microbiomes altered by long-term herbal supplementation began responding differently to drugs. Genetic pathways, once stable, were now activating erratically. In one published case, a cluster of patients on high-dose supplements developed rare, treatment-resistant cancers, prompting a global investigation. The hypothesis? Chronic exposure to certain unregulated compounds may have triggered epigenetic changes, heritable, permanent shifts in gene expression. And suddenly, it wasn't just about individual health anymore. It was evolution, but accelerated. Scientists warned of a coming divide, a biochemical class system, where the supplement altered and the unaltered would respond differently to disease, medication, even reproduction. Countries began debating regulation. Laws shifted. Lawsuits piled up. And still, wellness products sold faster than ever, now laced with terms like bioenhanced and genetically optimized. What started as a movement for natural health had become a quiet force of biological transformation. And most never saw it coming, because they were told it was healthy, because it felt like control. But the truth? We had been altering ourselves, blindly, one capsule at a time. And now, something new was emerging. Now, the question is no longer whether supplements work, but whether we've crossed a line we can't uncross. What began as a search for wellness has turned into a slow, silent rewriting of human biology. And yet, we keep swallowing the pills. Not because we're fools, but because we're afraid. Afraid of aging, of weakness, of death. The promise of control, of mastering our own bodies, is too seductive. But the science is clear. When we manipulate complex systems without fully understanding them, we introduce risks we cannot predict and may not survive. This is the crossroads. Do we demand regulation, real oversight, clinical validation, transparency, even if it means giving up the illusion of total control? Or do we embrace the path we're on, accepting that evolution will now be driven not by nature, but by market forces and personal choice? Some argue that this is simply the next step, that humanity is meant to self-modify, to enhance, to direct its own biology. Others warn that what we call enhancement may be nothing more than unintended mutation, with consequences we won't see for generations. And in this silence, this moral pause, we are left to choose. Not with certainty, not with guarantees, but with awareness. Because the future will not wait, and neither will biology. We've altered the chemistry of our lives, and in doing so, we may have changed the course of our species. The supplements we take to feel better today may determine who, or what, we become tomorrow. Remember how we started? With the belief that a pill could protect you, that something natural was always safe, that your morning supplements were silently working in your favor? Now, knowing what you know, do you still believe that? Or has something shifted? The truth is, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to ask the question no one else is asking. What if we got it wrong? What if our pursuit of perfect health has taken us somewhere unnatural? Somewhere we can't come back from? I'll be honest with you. I used to take supplements too. Every day, without thinking twice. Because I believed what the bottle said. Because it felt responsible. But now, I'm not so sure. The data is real. The risks are real. And the consequences? They don't always come with warning signs. They build slowly, quietly, until one day, they don't just change your health, they change who you are. So I'm asking you, not to panic, not to throw away everything, but to think, to question, to look closer. Because this isn't a story about science fiction. It's about something that's sitting in your kitchen cabinet, in your daily routine, in the trust you've placed without knowing the full cost. Have you experienced something like this? Do you know someone who has? Let me know in the comments, because this conversation needs to be bigger. And if you're still wondering what's really inside that capsule, maybe it's time we all started asking the same question. What else haven't they told us?